Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Welcome to today's episode of How You Getting Fucked. I'm your host, Louis Rossman. Today I want to go over a program called NanoClaw. It's a really cool open source program developed by a great person. Now, when I tell you that it's a cool program developed by a great person, the first thing you may want to do is Google NanoClaw and take a look at it. Now, the first thing you'll see is a GitHub, and you may think to yourself, man, I don't feel like compiling this from source. I trust the guy if Louis says it's good. Let me just go to the website and download it. You may go to the second result, which is nanoclaw.net, and you're going to follow what it says there and want to download the program. Simplicity meets security, get started, all this. The one problem with this project and this website is that that's not actually his site. That's a scam site that just literally stole his work. This is not his site. So when you go over to nanoclaw.dev, that's where you'll find his actual project. Now, the problem here is that if you want to find the website for his actual project, best of luck with that one. When you go to Google, after Googling NanoClaw, nanoclaw.dev. Let's see where he is. Is he on page 1? No, he is not. Is he on page 2? No, he is not. Is he on page 3? No, he is not. He is nowhere to be found on all of Google. Now, they have to know what the real project is because they're linking to the GitHub for the project. When you click onto that GitHub for the project, it very clearly says nanoclaw.dev over here, nanoclaw.dev over there. But wait, there's more. It's not just an obscure YouTuber like Louis that's talking about this software. He's been covered by the Newsstack, VentureBeat, The Register. He's been on CNBC. He had a blog post that was #1 on Hacker News, and they're all linking to his website. And in spite of this, you can't find him anywhere. I've had the same problem with Google where I had a website that was a service website that's almost 18 years old now, and I have updated that site regularly. And at one point, I just fell off Google entirely, and nothing I could do. I had other people write content. I wrote content, the entire website redesign, nothing worked. And then I went to Gemini and I said, what should this website say if my goal is to rank #1 on Google in this category? And what happened within a few weeks? I'm #1 on Google, thanks to AI bullshit. When you Google hard drive data recovery, literally the first thing that shows up on Google is this bullshit AI slop result. And who's the top of the AI slop results? Me, because I asked Gemini how to game the system, and after asking Gemini how to game the system, it worked. This is fucking stupid how this works, and you'll see the same thing happening from my other websites. So let's just say something like Consumer Rights Wiki. I have had Jake working on it for a while. Let's say I search for General Motors, nothing. Let's say I search for Miku, nothing. I've had this site for about a year now. There's literally nothing. It's erased off of Google. So I wanted to read his tweet storm because his experience, he seems to be going down a similar path to what I was going down. And I think more people need to understand just how fundamentally useless Google has become as a search engine. So it's 2026 and Google search is totally broken. He says, I'm losing the SEO battle for my own open source project. I built an open source project called NanoClaw. It has 18,000 GitHub stars. It's been covered by CNBC, VentureBeat, The Register, and others. When you Google NanoClaw, a fake website ranks #2 globally, right below the project's GitHub. My actual website doesn't show up. Not on page 1, not on page 2, and not on page 5. I'm losing the SEO battle for my own project to an imposter site, and there's nothing I can do about it, and it's putting the public at risk. I launched NanoClaw on February 2nd. It took off fast. I was focused on shipping features, merging pull requests, and building community. I didn't have a website. The GitHub repo was the project. That's how open source works. Around February 8th, someone grabbed nanoclaw.net and threw up an auto-generated site scraped from the README. People started mentioning it to me. I didn't think much of it. It was a bit weird, but linked to the correct GitHub. Whatever. I had code to write. The project kept growing, more stars, more press, more people messaging me. Hey, there's an error on your website. Your site has ads on it. Why does your website look like that on mobile? It wasn't my website. I didn't have one. But thousands of people were finding the site and assuming it was official. Their first impression of NanoClaw was a shoddy, ad-covered page with inaccurate information about the project every single day. So I built a real website. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, I've done everything you're supposed to do and more. I've linked it from the GitHub repo, proper SEO, structured data, submitted it to Google Search Console probably 15 times. NanoClaw got covered in the Register, VentureBeat, the Newsstack, all linking to the real site. I published a blog post that hit #1 on Hacker News, translated the site into 15 languages. Every social profile points to nanoclaw.dev. I filed takedown notices with Google, Cloudflare, and the domain registrarspaceship.com. Every single signal on the internet points to nanoclaw.dev being the real website. Every single one. Meanwhile, nanoclaw.net is showing factually wrong information about the project and falsifying its publication dates. Google ranks it as the #2 result for people specifically looking for the official website. Here's the thing that makes me want to scream. Go to our GitHub repo, which is the #1 result on Google for NanoClaw. It's the project this entire fake website is about. Look at the website field. It says nanoclaw.dev. The NanoClaw project itself, the thing Google ranks #1, explicitly points to the real website. And he shows that right here. 18,000 stars, 2.9 thousand forks, nanoclaw.dev. And Google still chooses the fake website over our website. This isn't an SEO problem, it's a Google problem. And I love the way he puts that, because Steve was my manager here for 10 years, and one of the best lessons that Steve ever taught me is that one of the problems that I have and that a lot of autistic people have is people will take a problem and they'll put it in our lap and we'll just kind of accept it because we like solving strange problems and playing with puzzles and shit. And the problem never belonged in our lap to begin with. Like, one example of this was when all these gyms are making it really difficult to cancel by saying you have to send a certified mail. We're going to kick the cancel button off the website if you don't live in California. You have to mail us, but it has to be certified mail. Instead of saying, what the fuck you, no way in hell, there were people that were coming out with websites that try and make it easier to send certified mail. And it's like, bitch, this ain't my problem. I reserve the right to stop giving you money without having to jump through all these hoops. And I agree. The problem here is not him and SEO. It's a Google problem. Google's job is to find you the most relevant result. That is something that Google used to do once upon a time that they don't do anymore. I've been told by SEO experts that I just need to beat them at SEO, that I should take out Google ads from my own open source project, that I should keep optimizing meta tags, keep building backlinks, and keep playing this game. No, I didn't sign up for an SEO war. I want to build open source software. I want to be in my terminal in a Discord, not in Google Search Console. And this I agree with. How much time have I wasted over the past 3 months of my life that I have not spent on other things that I'm involved in? And like, how much time have I taken away from working on like the Flock security camera stuff or the Consumer Rights Week or other things because I'm trying to spend time figuring out how to get to the top of Google? And like, now I figured it out. I literally have an entire AI pipeline with 50 different agents that literally does nothing but figure out exactly what Google wants and serve it to them. And it makes me sick. And like, and yeah, after doing that, like, number one, right here all the time. Not fixed all the way, working on it, but this is a waste of my life. I want to work on my company. I want to fix things. I don't want to figure out exactly what type of Gemini word slob Google wants to see me say so that I can show up on Google. Here's where it gets serious. I built NanoClaw security first. Every agent runs in an isolated container. We obsess over making sure agent runtimes are safe and sandboxed. Security is the foundation of everything we do. And right now, our biggest security vulnerability is Google search. The person running nanoclaw.net can put anything they want on that page tomorrow. A crypto scam, a phishing page, malicious download links. They could fork the GitHub repo, inject malicious code, and link to it from the site that Google is telling thousands of people is legitimate, whatever they want. And Google will happily serve it to everyone searching for my project. This is a live, active security risk that Google is enabling right now. Even if I win this SEO game in 2 or 3 weeks and finally dislodge them, by then, hundreds of thousands of people will have already visited that site, already seen wrong information, formed wrong impressions, associated my project with a spammy, broken experience. And there's no way to undo that. And every single day it stays up, the damage grows. Here's a great question he asked. If Google can't figure out which website belongs to an open source project when the project itself is screaming the answer, how can we trust them with any query? We trust Google to surface reliable information about elections, vaccines, medical conditions, financial decisions, and they can't get this right? A question where the answer is unambiguous, where every signal agrees, where the authoritative source explicitly declares the truth. I don't want to be playing this game. I want to be writing code, building community, pushing features, and fixing bugs. We need to stop blaming ourselves. Yes. Stop obsessing over whether we got the meta tags perfect, whether the favicon is the exact right format. When Google has abundant, unambiguous signals pointing to the right answer and still gets it wrong, that's not our problem. That's a Google problem. If Google wants to continue earning its position as the gateway to the internet's information, they need to be able to get things like this right. Welcome to e-commerce, friend. Just accept it and prove your SEO, just like all of us have had to do for the last 2 decades. And this is one of those trolley problems where it's, I got ran over by the trolley, therefore everybody has to get run over by the trolley to make it fair. And no, this is not how this should work. Do I have to have a website that is relevant? Absolutely. But I market my website the way that I used to write my website. The reason it used to rank back in the day is because I wrote my website for you. My website wasn't just a bunch of copy pasta bullshit. It said, here's the model numbers of the parts that I put in these products. Even if you're never going to use me for repair, if you just want to be able to double check and make sure that this model screen fits your device, you can do so. Back in the day, in 2008 or 2009, if you search for something like A1181 MacBook screen, you'd see something for $150. But if you search for LP133WX1 TLA1, the exact same part would show up and would cost $58. So it was very useful for people to know exactly what part went into what device because it allowed you to buy things at a lower amount. So I put all this information on my site to try to make my site as useful as possible to everybody showing up. Here are the prices, no click for quote, no call for quote bullshit. Here's exactly how long everything will take. Here's exactly how we work every section of the process so that when people showed up to my website, it was actually useful to them. And when I made a website that was useful to people, Google rewarded me by ranking me close to number 1. Now it's not about making a website that is useful to the user. It's about making a website that is useful to whatever fucking BS algorithm they're using for this. And it's very easy for me to tell what they're favoring when I write complete slop garbage that Gemini made for me. And that gets me from off Google altogether to within the top 3 to 6 results in a week or two. And frankly, even in my own industry, they just suck at this. Like, let's just say I search for hard drive data recovery. Let's forget about the AI results. Let's say I want to do a local result, right? So I'm searching, literally, I'm geolocated within my company. So I am in my store right now as I'm searching for this, for businesses in my area. Let's see where I show up. So this is a real company for hard drive data recovery, right? IT data recovery, yes, real. This is a BS location. So when you go, this is not a local place. Like when you show up here, they're going to mail your drive somewhere else. Real. This again, BS place. Like when you go there, they're mailing your drive someplace else. And the reason that matters is because Google Maps locations, by their own rules explicitly, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're not supposed to make a Google Maps business location for a virtual location that is not staffed with your people. And they do that and nobody cares. Real. Now, where am I? I'm down here. I'm like number 10. And let's just take a look at it. Like the reviews. 30 reviews, 100 something. One. This person literally has one review and they're up there. I have 1,800 reviews, 4.9 stars, all the information on it. So what Google Maps is going to do is they're going to send people to a location that has no company employees on staff in violation of the rules, that also has a reputation from Reddit posts of sabotaging people's drives in a way that's really kind of underhanded if you don't pay the estimate. And I'm sure if you've been paying attention that you've been noticing this for a while, that when you Google for things, you just don't find results the way that you used to. You find affiliate marketing spam pages, you find junk, you find crap that really doesn't actually answer your question. And I hate admitting it, but I get the right answer more often from Claude than I do from Google. And I find myself just not bothering to Google things anymore because of the experience like this. They're not protecting me from scams. What I find the most interesting about this is that Google's justifications in the past for the way that they dealt with AdWords is that their policies that banned our entire industry from being able to advertise was they couldn't really be sure if we were a scam. There were too many scams in that field. So independent repair actually cannot pay for AdWords. So if I get wiped off of Google, I literally can't even pay Google and use AdWords to be able to get back up and advertise my company because our industry is not allowed. Yet they allow this shit. And what I found the most funny about this whole situation is when Google Bard came out, that was the precursor to Gemini. That was Google's early day AI. When I was asking Bard, hey, who's more trustworthy, Louis Rossman's Rossman Repair Group at the Apple Store? They were actually saying, yeah, third-party repair is great. You should trust Louis Rossman with your stuff. So Google's AI thinks I'm trustworthy, but Google's own policy says I can't advertise in their platform. It's the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing over here. They know that this GitHub belongs to NanoClaw, but they don't trust that this GitHub that they rank number 1 is going to link to the right NanoClaw, so they rank a scam. For all the people saying you should just get more links, do more work, bro. If somebody with 18,000 GitHub stars, that's been on CNBC News, that's been front page Hacker News, number 1, VentureBeat, everybody else can't figure out how to get their own website onto Google, what chance do you think you have starting out when you don't get a feature in CNBC News, when you're not featured in VentureBeat, when you don't have a number 1 post in Hacker News, when you don't have 18,000 plus GitHub stars with over 2,000 forks? How do you think it's going to be for you? That's why I think it's important to care when it happens to somebody like him. This shit's been happening to me with 18 years in business. 2.5 million subscribers, 1,800 reviews. But I had to turn my site into machine-generated bunk in order to even get a sliver, just a crumb. Please, sir, can I please just show up in the first 10 pages of Google instead of not being there at all? It's a joke. I wish him the best of luck. I think Google is losing here. I think if people stop trusting Google search because it's getting worse, that $70 billion a year in net profit that they make is going to start going away. I haven't switched to a different search engine because every search engine that I've used besides Google just doesn't give me the results that I'm looking for, and Google doesn't. And I hate admitting it, but it's true. I can ask Claude a question, and is it right all the time? No. Over the past 1 or 2 years, I've noticed that Google is fundamentally not useful to me anymore. Is it to you? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.